Hmm. Hello. Six. Come on. Hello. So I'm trying to pin the topic. Six common mistakes to avoid while achieving your 2023 goals. Thank you for joining in. Okay. Oh, I'm all for I'm for all to envy. Thank you for the last time about setting goals for the new year. It really helped me. Wow, I didn't expect that. I'm glad you found it helpful. I'm really glad. So let me just wait a few more minutes so that Instagram or YouTube. I'm live both on Instagram and YouTube. So let me just wait a few more minutes to see if anyone else would join me, so that I can start. So it's going to be another 30 minutes. And for those that don't know, I'm Isinet Nnamdi Lewis, and I'm a medical doctor working in emergency departments. So on days that I'm not working, being a stress management coach and being a mom of kids, two little kids, and everything else that is attached to it. So somehow I love it. I love not somehow. I love what I do. It may seem like a lot for some people, but to an extent, I've found balance or rather harmony. I prefer the word harmony. Thank you guys for joining. I wish I would know where you're joining me from. I'm currently in the UK and it's really cold here. Very cold. Hmm. Okay, so without further delay, hoping that people will catch the replay or they would join me along the line. I just want to spend 30 minutes and not more and nothing more than that. And today I'm going to be talking about six common mistakes to avoid while achieving your 2023 goals. I call it common because it's something that you and I already know, but you may not be aware that this is just the little ingredients you need to make a difference from 2022 to 2023. Okay? So what that means is that we are going to expose these guys, these errors that hinder us, so that the main aim of this webinar is by the end of 2023, you're able to say, yes, I did it. If you can say things like, yes, I did it with the help of God, but at least you can say to an extent, I did better than the previous year. Okay, so what I'm going to be sharing with you is not something that I just read from Google. These are experiences from people that I've coached, and also, of course, I get my inspirations from the scriptures. So you may be able to relate to some things I'm saying. That's fine. Okay, so let's get started. Hi, Juliolu. Hi, Saint Daniela. Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
I have my assistant again. Her name is Kosi, my little girl. Okay, so the first mistake to avoid this year, if you expect to achieve your goal in 2023, I know you've made those exciting goals, but this is one thing you have to avoid, and that is
Excited goals.
not being disciplined. It sounds easy. It sounds easy. But do you know something? If you don't expect radical change, she wants to see what. So you don't expect a difference if you're still doing the same habits. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. You don't expect a radical change if you're still involved in the same habits that you used to have. All right. So for you to expect some radical changes, it's going to require extra sacrifices. So what the extra sacrifices means is that
Mommy.
okay, good job.
What's the
She's really keen on joining me live. Checking her mirror. I hope you guys don't mind. Okay, so it means that for you to expect a radical change this time around, you're going to go the extra mile. All right. So if you are the kind of person that was sleeping 8 hours before, you don't expect to sleep that much, since you know that there are certain sacrifices you need to make to achieve your new set goals. You're planning to make more money. It's not the same habits of earning 1,000 naira that is going to earn you 10,000 naira. I don't know if you're understanding.
Yeah.
You're planning to buy a house. Let me say you're planning to buy 2-story buildings. It's not the habit of 1-story building that is going to earn you 2-story buildings. So it's going to require extra sacrifices and extra discipline from you. So you're going to avoid not being disciplined because you're not going to take things, it's not going to be business as usual. Because we want at the end of 2023, you're saying things like, oh, this is actually my best year. Okay, because I was able to achieve the goals I set out for, and not the same thing repeating again like it happened in 2022. I don't know if you're understanding me. Thank you for joining, sir Sheriff. So the second mistake you're going to avoid is comparison, like comparing yourself to another person. It is a very easy one, it's a very common one, but you have no idea how much that can rob you of your journey. Okay, how you have no idea how much it can rob you of your journey, comparing yourself to another person or comparing your journey to another person's journey. All right, so what that means is that you're going to mind the business that pays you. You're going to mind the business that pays you so that you can focus on your own growth. Okay, especially in this era of social media, it's very easy to wake up one morning and come on social media and you're like, oh my god, people are doing great things. People are like LinkedIn, people are achieving things, getting scholarships, traveling abroad. People are doing lots of things. You have your own goals, but because it doesn't look or sound shiny like every other person, you're now feeling terrible about your life. You now want things to, as in, you now want to focus on their own parts. You now want to switch parts. For instance, I coached a guy recently and he knew what he wanted. He has graduated, and he knew the path he was going to go into. He knew how, as like the career path he wanted to go into. But then people came up with this idea of, oh, tech is the in thing now. Tech is the in thing. He wanted to abandon what he was doing. His path was really clear. He wanted to abandon it and switch. All right. He wasn't switching out of that's what he wanted to do. He was switching out of is what other people are doing. So more like pursuing other people's goals. All right. So if you're trying to pursue other people's goals, you have no clarity on your journey. You have no clarity on why you're doing that. So you're doing it for other people, not for yourself. And it is a recipe for major struggle. All right. So what I can encourage you to do is mind the business that pays you. If you say you're going to do your masters this year, focus on achieving that set goal, because remember why you set that goal. Remember how excited you were. Remember what made you go on that journey, what made you embark on that journey. This is not the time to be looking left and right, because it can delay your goal, it can delay you, it can get you frustrated, it can make you feel like a failure, forgetting that your chapter 5 is different from another person's chapter 10. Do you understand? So this year, mind the business that pays you. And then the third mistake to avoid is dwelling on negative circumstances. See, whether we like it or not, so long as we are in this world, like we are existing,
This world.
so long as we are existing, we are going to encounter
world.
things that will trouble us. We are going to encounter situations, even if it's not something internal, maybe
This world.
even if it's not something internal, maybe from our thoughts, it could be from other people's pressure or other people's attitude or behavior, that will make us feel terrible about our lives. So if you encounter negative circumstances, if you encounter a negative circumstance, just start looking for opportunities in it. Let me give you an instance with a true life story. Myself, by 2018, I already knew the level I was going to get to career-wise as a doctor.
Yeah.
Right? I
Yeah.
already knew. However, that same 2018, I encountered a career block. I didn't plan for it. It was just unexpected. And I had a career break, like bam. So it was a negative circumstance for me at that moment, because it wasn't the life I wanted for myself. And I thought it was just something temporarily. Before I knew it, it was stretching to 3 years, 3 years out of practice for a high achiever like me. I call myself a high achiever. Like in medical school, I was among those that when you're saying, okay, in 10 years, these people they are going to be consultants, they are going to be this and that. Yeah, I was among those people. But I was just looking at my life, and it was like, 3 years, career break, unexpected. What was I going to do? It was a kind of situation that can lead you to depression because you're not advancing as much as you wanted. All right. But what happened in that 3 years? That was when I saw this opportunity of stress management. That you're listening to me today is because I maximized that 3 years of my life. All right. With the help of God, definitely. So if you encounter a negative circumstance or something unexpected or something that you didn't plan for, try as much as possible not to dwell on it. Okay, because the more you keep dwelling on it, the more you keep seeing more troubles that would linger. Before you know it, you're going into maybe depression or anxiety or something more. And once you're in a state of low mood, low energy, you will not have the energy or the zeal to come back to achieving any set goal. As in, achieving goals would be one of the last things on your mind, because you're thinking more about trying to feel alive again. Do you understand? So what I'm trying to say is this: when you encounter a negative circumstance in this year 2023, don't let it hinder you from the journey. Don't let it hinder you from where you're going. Try and see the opportunity in it and move. It's going to be difficult sometimes. Yeah, it's going to be difficult in the sense that we are humans. But first of all, you have this awareness now that you don't have time to dwell on this negative circumstance. That means you need to start looking for help. So if it's something you're not able to, if it's a help you're not able to find yourself, you can get someone else to help you out. All right. So that is the mistake number 3, dwelling on negative circumstances for too long. Mistake number 4 is not managing your negative emotions very well. I'll give you another instance using someone's story, someone I coached. So this lady wanted set out her goal. So in coaching, what we do is to help you find ways to achieve your goals and then hold you accountable. We use your own personal circumstances. So in this situation, I'm not telling you things to do. You're the one coming up with things to do, because it speaks more to your own personal circumstances, which brings more transformative results. All right. So this lady has her goals. She has set out her goals to achieve, and then something happened. I think someone said something bad to her, or someone's attitude towards her, and the thing made her really sad. So for 2 days, she didn't touch anything about her goals. She didn't even that kind of zeal. It wasn't there. It was completely lacking. All right, because she dwelt on those negative emotions for long. So when we're reviewing what happened the previous week, because we are doing the sessions every week, when we're reviewing what happened the previous week, she realized that next time when something like that happens, she should find out the source of that negative emotion quickly, and then start addressing it as quickly as possible. Because one thing you can't afford in this journey of achieving goals and making changes and impacting lives and doing great things for yourself and for everyone around you, one thing you can't avoid is starting your one thing you can't afford is starting your day with low energy. Because with low energy, you can't even think of doing anything great, because you're still trying to save yourself before saving other people. It's lovely. All right. So, what is the source of that negative energy? Is it overwhelm? What is the source? And start tackling it. Are you stressed? What is the source? Because by finding the source, that's the first step in managing whatever it is that is going on, that is making your mood or your energy to be low. All right. So that's the mistake number 4, not managing your negative emotions. I don't know if I'm making sense. Please let me know in the comments. I'm almost done anyway. Okay, so far, Mr. Sherry said the chapter 5 orientation. Yes, that's right. Thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you too. Thank you too. Thank you. So, number 5 mistake to avoid is not being clear on your why and what's at stake if you don't show up.
Look, Mama.
All right,
Look.
I would explain. It's lovely. I would explain. If you've set out your goal, let me just use an instance. Let me say this year, I I want to I want to own my own home. Let me use that as an instance. I want to own my own home this year. So you've done all the goal settings. They said smart goals. You've made all the smart goals. You've made it specific, time bound, and all of that. And then you don't you're not clear on what's at stake if you don't show up. So in this case, what could have been at stake is, oh, if I don't work hard towards achieving this goal, I will have to pay rent again. I may become homeless. Maybe the landlord would one day wake up and throw me out of the house. So that's where you're becoming clear on what's at stake if you don't make effort towards achieving this goal. Okay, now another instance is, let me use myself as an instance. I have to show up and teach about stress management and everything else related to it, and then I'm not clear on why I'm doing what I'm doing. So, what could be at stake is there is someone out there, maybe a frustrated mom or someone that is just overwhelmed, that needs to hear my voice one morning. And it's just that voice that the person needs to hang on and not give up on life and not become so depressed to the point of taking his or her life. So being clear on what could be at stake is enough to motivate me to wake up each morning and show up and teach something and say a word and put a word out there for someone. Do you understand? So being clear on what's at stake is not enough to just set smart goals. Also be clear on your why and what's at stake if you don't show up to achieve these goals. All right. So with that mindset, with that at the back of your mind, you are always energized. Oh, I need to show up today. I know that I feel tired, but there are certain things I need to do to achieve these goals. I know that my mood wasn't the best at this moment, but I need to show up to achieve this goal. I know that the circumstances surrounding me right now is not the best, but I need to show up to achieve this goal. This is the mindset, this is the discipline we are talking about. Because whether you like it or not, in the year 2023, just like every other year, there are going to be bad days, there are going to be unpleasant moments, there are going to be frustrating times. People will get at you, some people will get you angry, whether you chose them or not. So people will try to do things that you're just not comfortable with. So is that discipline, that clarity, that understanding, that mindset that you're willing to do what it takes to achieve these goals, like you want it so bad? That's why. I'll give you another instance about what's at stake using the story of Noah. If you've been following me, I've shared this story before, but let me share it again. So in the story of Noah, God told Noah to build an ark. All right. So what's at stake in this situation is that if you don't build this ark, you and your entire family, lineage, everything connected to you is going to drown in that flood. So that's what's at stake. But if you build this ark, you guys are going to be saved. So that with that clarity that this is what's at stake, he has to show up and complete it, irrespective of the criticisms, the fears, the doubts. They don't matter. Because whether they are going to creep up sometimes, yes, they are. You're going to have this feeling of impost. You're going to feel like an imposter. You're going to feel like a fraud on some days. You're going to query yourself, like, are you sure I'm qualified to do this? Are you sure I deserve this? It's just like, to the glory of God. There is a text, an email I got. Was it yesterday? I got an email. I had to call my husband. I was like, can you? I forwarded the email to him and showed him. I asked him, "Is this actually real?" But if you think about the journey so far, how God is with you, how God has helped you, and how you've been doing so far, you should be able to embrace the good, because you deserve every single one of it. There are going to be times when you feel you're undeserving. Come on, you do. You do. You deserve every good thing. You know that there was a time when I felt in my life that for something good to happen, something bad had to happen. Sincerely, I was living in that kind of life where I thought, oh, or if something good is happening now, I'll be like, it won't be long before the main thing, that's the bad thing, happens. So I don't celebrate things like that. That's a lie. You deserve every good and beautiful thing and every good and perfect gift. You deserve every single one of them, because you have a father that gives these good things. All right. So let me talk about the final mistake to avoid while achieving your 2023 goals. I don't even know if you're following, if I'm saying something valuable here. Diary of a Cute Morire. Morire, you're making sense. Thank you so much. So, oh, that's a cute one. Okay. So the final mistake to
cute.
avoid, yeah, it's cute. The final mistake to avoid is making rash decisions and negative confessions when angry. Hey, you see, anger has destroyed people, has ruined lives, has ruined relationships, has ruined beautiful moments. Okay. But the ability to control your tongue, to tame yourself, to tame your emotions will take you really far beyond you ever imagined. Okay. So when next you're angry, you're boiling, please, I encourage you, don't say things at that moment when things are heated. Okay, because your brain is not being logical at that moment. Stress hormone is clouding your judgment, so you're bound to say things you would regret. You're bound to put out confessions that you would regret. You're bound to say things like your life is worthless, your life has no meaning. And the more you continue these negative confessions, the more you're feeding your mind with things that are not true, and it can go into a vicious circle and land you in trouble. All right, this is aside the impact of the words you say to others. Let me say to someone that made you angry, and once you say those words, you can't take it back. So this is something you can do when you're angry. Just take a break at that moment. You don't have to say anything. No matter the pressure, no matter how they are pushing you to say something, you don't have to say anything, because you may regret it, because you may not bring it back, because you can ruin your life, because you can ruin beautiful relationships, because you can ruin it, you can ruin your destiny. You know, let me give you an instance. Last year, I had a speaking engagement on anxiety, and the lady that I was chatting with, the lady that was the anchor, you know, so during our conversation, I wasn't really comfortable with her attitude. So, and you know that this is something over a chat. It's difficult to judge people's attitudes over a chat. You're not getting the non-verbal part of the conversation, so you're bound to make certain decisions based on just what they are writing. You know, so from the way she was writing, I had this perception. I quickly had this perception that, oh, she's arrogant, you know. And then before I knew what was happening, it started building this. Let me just be done with with working with this team. I don't want to work with them again, you know, with this kind of mindset. But with the help of God, when I went into that session with them, I didn't carry in that attitude to that session. All right. So I went into that session with the mindset of, okay, I know that this is the attitude I've perceived over our chat, but I want to get to know you. So I reached out and I wanted to know who she was. And at the end of the session, I asked again, who is this person? Who is this lady? Can I see you? We had a talk afterwards, and we are still talking till now. Like, we realized that we had so many things in common. So anger and frustration could have ruined a beautiful relationship that I'm enjoying right now. All right. So when next you're angry, first try and listen. Try to listen what the person is saying. That's if it's someone that is making you angry. Try to listen to what the person is saying. Be slow to responding and be slow to anger. I know that if if you study the scripture, you will know that I borrow these quotes from there. But this is life, because anger doesn't bring about the best things of life. Rather, it brings about destruction most of the time. So before you get angry, the goal, what I'm trying to teach you now not to is not to manage the anger, but to be really slow to getting angry. All right. You hear some people tell you things like, I'm easily tempered, or no, I get angry easily. You need help. If you are that kind of person, you need help. All right. So the goal this year, if there's nothing else you're taking away from this webinar, the goal this year is to be really slow to getting to that point where you're boiling. To avoid getting to that point, number one, listen. Try to listen to what the person is communicating, even if it doesn't make sense at that moment. But just keep your mouth shut and listen. Just wait. Then, number two, try to be aware of what your brain is interpreting at that moment, because that's another destructive thing. Somebody says A, but your brain is interpreting it as B, because you've already chosen war, because you've already chosen to fight, you know? So try to be aware of what your brain is interpreting to you concerning the matter, and try to stop it right there. If he's giving you the wrong interpretation, or if he's giving you the interpretation that will lead to violence, try to stop it as it is happening. All right. Then another thing you can do is to try to distract yourself by practicing deep breathing, or by taking a walk out of that environment to prevent further fueling you up. All right. So it's just about being sensitive to all that is going on within you. Because one thing you have to know is that you are in charge of your response, your reaction, how you behave, whatever it is you do, whatever it is that is coming from you. You are responsible for that, not what the other person did to you. That you have to know this. All right. So be intentional to train yourself not to get to that point of boiling. But if you eventually get to that point, then you can now start managing the emotion, the anger, taking a walk, deep breathing, giving yourself space, time out, so that you don't do things that you may regret. All right. So anger is one thing that can stop you, that can hinder you from achieving your 2023 goals. It's already 30 minutes. So let me just round up now. Nemeka says, enjoying every bit of this discourse. I'm really glad. I'm really glad you find it helpful. So finally, for those of us that believe in God, whatever you believe in, for me, I believe in God, and is working like 100 out of 100 for me, or 100 like excellently for me. So finally, pray for the grace to be consistent, because this our human flesh. Yeah, sometimes you just you just don't have the energy to do anything. But with grace, with the help of God, you can show up each day and work towards that goal. Trust me, imagine, just picture what the end of 2023 is going to be for you if you achieve all your goals. Just imagine how you're going to feel. Imagine the joy. Imagine the gladness. Imagine the, oh my God. Like at the end of 2023, you're like, oh, look at all the things I was able to achieve, or look at all the things God helped me achieve. So this can be you, and it starts now. All right. So let me just recap again the six mistakes to avoid. I said the first one is that you are not disciplined. You don't expect a radical change with the same habits you had previously. So if you want a radical change, improve on in your habits, and it may require some sacrifices. Do it, so long as they are good, they are healthy, they are legal. Then the second thing is comparing yourself with others. And I said, mind the business that pays you. You have no business in other people's matter. The third one is dwelling on negative circumstances for long. And the solution is try to see the opportunities in your troubles. Now, the fourth one is not managing your negative emotions. And I said, the solution is try to find the source of the emotions and deal with it quickly as they come without delay. And the fifth one is not being clear enough on your why and what's at stake if you don't show up. And I said, try to be clear on what's at stake if you don't show up, all right? If you don't achieve those goals. Again, no? And then the sixth one, which is the final one, was making rash decisions and negative confessions when angry. And we talked about the goal, which is as much as you can avoid getting to that point where you're boiling. But there are sometimes anger is inevitable. Just manage your anger at that moment and avoid making any rash decisions that can ruin your life or ruin beautiful relationships and destinies. All right. So finally, guys, you deserve everything good, you deserve everything lovely, you deserve everything beautiful that life has to offer. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Thank you. I enjoyed another session with you. Thank you. And if you found this helpful, please feel free to share. Feel free to share. Thanks, guys. Have a lovely evening.